Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trending. It's very grim out there on this Monday morning. I hope it's nicer wherever you are in the world. Right, we're going to start with some great news. We're going to start with some really positive news. So Saturday, I mentioned a few times before, was a massive protest planned down in London against digital ID being rolled out here in the UK. I went down, so did Gareth, so did David, so did Christiana, and to be fair, when we first arrived at Marble Arch Station, about 45 minutes before it was due to start, I was seriously disheartened. There wasn't too many people around, and it just didn't really feel like it was going to be anything of note that was going to really create something that got people to sit up and notice. Well, not too long afterwards, that all changed, and by the time the march set off about 1:15, it was very, very different. And we marched down Oxford Street, and what was amazing to see. So I was part of some of the COVID protests. I'm sure many of you watching this were as well. And you felt very detached from everybody else that was just walking down the street. Now, I understand there was lockdowns, so the streets weren't particularly busy in many cases. But there were towards the latter ones, towards Christmas 2020, when things had reopened to a degree. There was people outside eating. There was people walking down the street doing shopping. And there was a lot of pointing and tutting and the shaking of heads of people towards protesters, which felt obviously, it created a detachment. This was very, very different because digital ID is a very different scenario here. So just to go back to the COVID protests for a second, what they did through COVID is they scared people. They hit people with literally billions of pounds worth of propaganda 24/7 internationally as well. You saw videos and things coming out of other countries, which was just designed to terrify people into submission. And for so many, it worked. For so many, it worked the first time. For a bit less, it worked the second time. And by the time we got to the end, I think it had worked very, very low. It stopped working on very many people, which is great to see, given we're probably going to come back around to something similar in future in terms of using propaganda to try and get people to submit to whatever the policy may be. The difference is with digital ID, there's no fear attached to it with people in the sense of most people are looking around going, what does digital ID even mean? There's not a fear where people are literally locked in their houses, terrified to leave, thinking the world's going to end if they go to the shops, and therefore looking at the people protesting, thinking you're flaunting the rules, you're endangering me, as we were told to believe. But with this, so many people that were walking down the street, it was Oxford Street, Regent Street, busy day. So there was lots and lots of bystanders. People were taking videos. People were looking, cheering. People were even coming out of the shops with their shopping bags and joining the march. So as the march continued through central London, it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. By the time it reached the end in Whitehall, there was considerably more people in it than there was when we left Marble Arch at the very beginning. I see that as a fantastic opportunity to point out how important it is for us to unify. Because this does not have anything to do with party politics. Some people will say it does because Labour are the only ones that are pushing it and the other parties seem to be opposing it. That's just lip service. When push comes to shove, they are all on the same page on this because they are all controlled by the same people. You've had Reform talk about the brick card, which is just another word for digital ID. They're saying brick card because they think the patriots will buy into that a little bit more than saying digital ID. It's got the word Brit in it. Well, I'm sorry, it's the same thing. So this transcends party politics, and what would normally divide people, in this instance, should unify them. Because we're both in the gun sights, regardless of which side of the fence you voted. So that's why I think it's very important to talk about this morning and highlight this, because when we stand together, there's nowhere for them to go. There's literally 650 MPs in the House of Commons, 400 of which are Labour. So in theory, there's 400 of which that are going to vote in favour of this bill. And there will be some people within the Labour Party that won't like this. 400 people dictating to 72 million. That doesn't happen unless the millions accept it. just this week. I mean, I'm not the greatest judge on numbers, but there was 10, probably close to 20,000 people, I would suggest, around that. And for me, immediately you outnumber those MPs by how many? By how many do you outnumber them? And that's a tiny, tiny proportion of the population on one particular day. You look at that petition that's got well over 3 million signatures. The opposition is there. And I remember I spoke to Fiona, the protest organiser, on the day, and I said, if we compare this to the early days of the COVID protests, where there was literally, sometimes single figures of people, and take Saturday as a step one, then this is a fantastic start. The other thing, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, is during the COVID protest, there was lockdowns. People had their lives imposed upon literally in the moment. Whereas with this, digital ID to many is still a concept. It's still not something that's been rolled out. It's still not something that's been rolled in. When I'd be very interested to see what these protests swell to when people are all of a sudden walking into their jobs on a Monday morning and being told they're out of a job unless they take up a digital ID. That then is a very different scenario, because then that is akin to the COVID period where your lives are being imposed upon in the moment. You have to make a decision between your livelihood or your freedom. And that then, in turn, really will focus people's minds, which is essentially what happened during COVID. It focused people's minds. They were up against the coalface right there, right then. Whether they were furloughed, whether they had their businesses closed down, whether they couldn't go to the gym, whether they couldn't go to restaurants, whether they were locked inside their homes, whether they couldn't see loved ones in care homes, whatever it might have been, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for people. It was something. And with this, what's it going to be? I can't go to the pub and watch the football without a digital ID. I can't get a job. I can't go abroad. I can't access public services. I can't get my benefits. I can't access the NHS, whatever it might be. It's going to be something. And the fact that this protest had such a great attendance and a really, really nice energy to it as well. There's some incredible people to meet. From all ages, there was kids, there was people in their 70s, 80s. It was fantastic to see. And the support from the pavements as well, of people just going about their day, was really, really encouraging, I have to say. Really, really encouraging. Because like I said, those of you that have been through the protests through the COVID period will know that support from the pavements wasn't there. Certainly wasn't there at the start. It was towards the end, but it certainly wasn't there at the start. And if we look at this as the start, this is step one of the resistance. This isn't the end. The government are not going to look at that protest on Saturday and think, oh, too much hassle, we'll just reverse our decision. They're not going to do that. This is going to be this is the start of a very long fight. This is the start of a very long campaign to stop this from coming in. Because this is, Gareth has said these exact words, this is the hill to die on. It really is. Because this is stage one. After this, all bets are off. Just in the short time since Starmer announced this, it's gone from, you'll need this to work, it's going to tackle immigration, to you'll need it to access your own money, you'll need it to go into the pub, you'll need it to drive a car, veterans will need it to access their pensions and benefits. That's just in the space of, a month? It's gone from that to that. And as we say, when we talk about any kind of policy, they will always leak things into the press to get public opinion. Because if they leak something and people don't react, then they'll go even further. If they leak something and the backlash is so big, they might not go quite as far as they said they were going to. Because people think then that's a victory. It's not a victory. It's the way they play chess with us, quite literally. We're looking, or most people, we're looking at the move they are making now. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about how this move is going to help them in 3 moves' time. Everything is carefully planned. Starmer didn't just stand up one day and go, I'm going to announce a digital ID today. This has been long planned. This would have been a planned policy and ambition of this regime, this government, way before they won the election last year. Way before. And it's very important that is remembered. Very important. This is not random. This is carefully and calculated design. So with that in mind, this is not going to go quietly. But the positive news is the step one of resistance, the stage one of pushback, the massive petition. Now, I know that petition has not led to anything in terms of a reversal or a changing of the policy, but what it has done is it's highlighted just how many people oppose this. That's amazing. You know, petitions have caused a stir when they've had 100,000 or 200,000 signatures. This has had 3 million. And that's just the people that understand what digital ID is. As most people become educated in what exactly that means, that's going to be 10 million, 15 million, I believe. You've had a good few thousand people here in London right at the very beginning. There's still no policy yet. There's still no parliamentary bill yet. There's still no reading of it. There's still no vote. Nothing of that's happened yet. And there's still this many people in London. That's a fantastic start. I think everybody involved should be incredibly proud of themselves that they've been there from the very beginning and said no. Lots of people have been warning about digital ID for a while now. Some people have been writing about it since the 1990s. This is not something that is all of a sudden the buzz term and the cool, trendy new thing to do, so people are jumping on the bandwagon. This is something that's fundamental to the next stage of human enslavement. Absolutely fundamental. You know, you've only got to look at some of the systems they have over in China, where if your social credit score is not high enough, you can't access so many things. Doors in certain scenarios literally won't open for you. All of this is about control. It's all about control. And you've only got to then listen to the words that come on top of that from other departments in the government. Whether it be Rachel Reeves talking about a pay-per-mile tax driving your car, that's about control. Whether it be 15-minute cities, that's about controlling movement. Whether it be carbon taxes on cars or on family foreign holidays, that's all about control. Whether it be absolutely ripping up the countryside and filling it with wind farms, whether it be this crazy net zero ambition that's going to cause so many people issues financially and also with availability of energy, that's about control. All the attacks on businesses, small, medium businesses, whether it be through taxes, through VAT, through red tape and regulation, that's all attacking people's freedom. Digital ID has nothing to do with solving any of the problems that these governments have created. In the same way that the budget has nothing to do with solving inequality that these governments and regimes and corporations have created. It's about further controlling, further depleting the resources of people, and further increasing the dependency of people upon the state, because dependency creates control. You can apply that to a micro level in a family. You know, a kid's dependent on their parents to survive. If you, and that's why a parent will have some degree of authority over a child. Now, you take that then to a government level, where you have millions of people in a country who are dependent on that government for their ability to eat, to sleep, to feed themselves. All of a sudden, that dependency has created that control. That's exactly how fascism, socialism, well, extreme socialism, communism, that's how they all look. Somebody has the control and the rest simply have to comply, or they lose the ability to survive. I've seen just in my lifetime in the last 20 odd years how much we have shifted towards that system unofficially. You wait till it comes in officially. Dependency is exactly what they want. Because while you have a degree of self-sufficiency, whether it be through your business, through whatever it might be, you are less reliant on them. You can resist. You can say no. You can oppose. And that's why there's so many attacks on people, whether it be financially, whether it be spiritually, whether it be physically and with their health. You cannot resist unless you have some degree of those three things under control, or some degree of those three things within your control, can you? We're at the start. And I said I'm going to start with some good news, and I think this is good news. I think this is step one. This is the opportunity to make some noise. We've made it. It's been in the mainstream media. They've done everything they can to not mention the Ike name. They've got pictures of David there right at the front holding the banner. Close-up pictures as well, but they've done everything but mention his name. They're terrified. They know that this is only going to get bigger. You know, when they were sat ignoring protests during COVID of a few hundred people, of 10 people on occasions, they then became millions, and all of a sudden they couldn't ignore it anymore. And all of a sudden the influence those protests had was colossal. This is the same. This protest was the one where there was 10, 12, 15, 100 people during COVID. That was step one. This is step one, and there was thousands. I can't wait to see what step 2, 3, 4, and 5 look like as they continue to try and plough on with this policy. The people are not going quietly this time. They're really not going quietly. And I don't know about anyone else that was there. I'm sure some of you watching were there. It really reignited a fire within me that we actually are going to do something about this. We are going to bring this down. Sometimes it feels disheartening. Sometimes it feels like we're doing nothing, whether you're sat in your house, whether you're sat in your office, I feel like it's sat here sometimes. You think, what's the point? What's the point? We're not seeing anything change. Well, then you stand shoulder to shoulder with thousands of people and you see just how many people actually see through this as well. And as this policy continues forward, these numbers are just going to explode and explode and explode and explode. And I can't wait to be part of those as well with as many of you as possible. For those of you watching around the world, I'm sure this will be coming to a town near you soon. So hopefully the UK and England can set the precedent of how to resist and how to push back and how to say no, and highlight that, as always, the people are the ones with all the power. Well, that's it for the free episode. If you're watching with us on YouTube or Twitter, thank you for joining us. We're going to head over and watch. We're going to head over and do the rest of the episode on iconic.com. We're going to talk about Maccabi Tel Aviv, the football team, and the Tel Aviv derby. We're going to talk about Chancellor blaming Brexit still for the fact she's trying to screw people over taxes. And we're going to talk about Trump's urging of Zelensky to end the war in Ukraine. So that plus more, head over to iconic.com. Click the link in the description below. See you there.